Hello, welcome back to my channel. Another day, another rebirth. I hope all is well. I hope you're loving yourself. And I hope you're letting yourself be loved. I hope you're showing up in spaces where you're seen and loved properly in the exact way you want to be loved, right? But in order to do that and put ourselves in these spaces where we're loved in the proper way, we have to know community versus cult, right? We have to have discernment. And that's what I want to talk about today. I don't want to give an anecdotal type thing, an anecdote about how a cult impacted my life. I was never in a cult, to make things clear, and not to shame anybody who's ever been and almost gotten in one, not to shame anybody. But this is my story. I'm sticking to it. um so what happened was um I was modeling at the time and I was approached by the CEO of this, I'm going to say, beauty brand to model for them, right? And the CEO was sisters with my ex best friend. My ex best friend, we went to high school, middle school, elementary, all the way back, and some of college. This is how close me and old girl was. Like, telling you. So after the shoot was over, she was like, "Why don't you just ride back with so and so y'all can catch up and, just get some of that girl time in." I was like, "Cool." So Shorty ended up dropping me back off to my place, and before I got out, she was like, "Hey, how about you come back home with me? Grab some clothes to go to church and come home with me." See, y'all, me and church don't get along because of the church I grew up in. We don't get along. I was just on the phone with one of my childhood friends the other day. We're getting back close, and she was like, "Why were you always so woke? Why nobody could ever pull anything over your face? Like no one could ever put a veil over your eyes. You saw straight through the BS." And I'm like, "I don't know how, but I always knew. Bear with me and bear with the sun because she's obviously trying to steal my moment right now. But bear with me." So back to the story. I was like, I don't know about church, baby. I don't know if I can do that. But I'm supportive. I'm a supportive friend. I looked over my own feelings, my own intuition, and discernment. Because not only was I not feeling church at the time, something about her aura was just off. Like it just felt weird. Like nothing evil, nothing like, devious, but something wasn't right. She felt like it felt like her core had been changed, like who she is had been changed because of something. I was making up every excuse. I was like, "Girl, my clothes not clean. I can't go nowhere. I gotta do this. I gotta do that." But she begged and begged. This when I was a people pleaser too. So it was so many lessons I learned in this one thing. I was like, "Okay, girl, I'm coming back down the stairs. I'm finna get in the car. We gonna go home with you, and we gonna wake up in the morning and go to church." So I go to her place. I'm in her house. Something feels odd. Like it feels like the oddest presence, energy. There's just odd. There's no way I can explain it besides odd or off. I don't know. So that was weird. Really didn't sleep that night. Woke up. I noticed that her attire, even for church clothes, were very. It gave me like almost Amish or Mennonite. Is that what they're called, Mennonites or something? It gave that, and I done agreed to wearing this girl's clothes, and she finna have me looking like I don't use electricity. Oh my god! So I'm like, okay, girl, here we are. You've ignored your intuition so many times just to be here. We go to church. We go to the church. It's way out the way. When I tell you, when my foot hit the ground, in which the church was built on, something went through me that I can never explain, and I've never felt that before. And it was like, oh, Acacia, what have you done? Why are you here? So we walk in the church. There's no chairs. Like, well, there's foldable chairs, but there's no pews or anything. There's no symbols of Christ, of God, of anything. But there's this big ass banner, y'all, on the front, like right in front of the pulpit, that says raising $75,000 to build a new church. Well, I'm just looking at all the signs. I'm like, this ain't right. There's no chairs. There's a big sign. These were the weirdest Children of Corn as choir songs like ever. I have never heard these hymns before. I was so afraid. Then they called the pastor Pop and Mom and Dad. They called the pastor and the first lady Mom and Dad, right? Another sign. I'm like, there's a pregnant lady in the first row, and he goes, "That's my grandbaby right there." I'm like, that's weird. You're saying that that's your grandbaby. She's a random lady. Well, obviously she's a church member, but she's not kin to you at all. And I'm looking at all the people that are in this church, and they all have this like gray aura. And it clicks. I'm like, these are people that are in their lowest points of their lives, because he's preaching and he's saying absolutely nothing. It might as well have been a Charlie Brown episode for me, like wah 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 wah. And they in there catching the holiest of ghosts. I'm just like off of this. I'm off of this ish. Then ties the offering come. I'm like, I put $1 or two in there. And she's like, oh, no, 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 you don't have to do this. So I'm nosy. They cash app. These are new school churches. They cash app besides the offering. So I'm looking, and this girl's sitting there like 75 to $100 every Sunday. Pardon? I'm like, yep, cults. Cults. This ain't even the crazy part. So I'm like, okay, can you take me home, girl, after this? And she's like, no, they want you to come eat dinner with us. I'm like, girl, please take me home. We get to the table, right? I people pleaser, Acacia. I was like, okay, cool. Get to the dinner table, right? And the pastor goes, so she tells me that you don't come from a godly family. Nobody did teach you about God. I'm like, who told you that? Who told you that? We have a family church. I may not be Christian, but baby, let me tell you, oily, anointed. So I'm like, this girl probably done told somebody I'm a witch, just like how everybody else does, because they're afraid of me and my gifts. And so they're like, well, you can't really go home right now until you get baptized. I'm like, what do you mean? You just said that, mind you, this pastor just said that this church was not Baptist or Pentecostal, Catholic. He was shitting on every denomination of Christianity. So I'm like, so what are you? So you're making up your own, you're baptizing me, but you're not Baptist? What is this? And I was like, I'll pass. And I was like, take me home, girl. So we on the road. So I'm calling my mama. I'm like, Mama, is this how baptism go? She was like, no. She was like, tell her to take you home right now. Tell her to take you home, because that is not how they go. And they were like, no, you have to get baptized. So she finally takes me home, and I look at her like, well, I'll see you next time. And she says, well, maybe you'll get baptized next time. I'm like, bitch, I'm never speaking to you again. Cause where did you just have me at? What is this? You've traumatized me. And I called my grandma. My grandma was like, you need to clean yourself with something spiritual. You need to clean your room. You need to clean everything. And I did that. And so my I didn't even tell y'all that part. I'm a lead. So the it's something that I left out that I almost just said, but I'm gonna continue to leave it out because if people from my hometown watch this, they're gonna know exactly who I'm talking about. So anyway, the CEO of the beauty brand that I did a photo shoot for, I told her, I said, I blocked your sister. You know that? She was like, why? I was like, you don't know why? She was like, that church. She was like, I know that it's a cult. I'm like, y'all not doing nothing. Y'all sister in a cult. And she was like, I mean, I all I can do is pray. I just hope she ain't having sex with them people. Cause one time I went there to check on her and he was harassing the church members like, why you ain't buy our toiletries? Why you didn't buy the things that we need? Where were you at? Oh, and I forgot to tell y'all, they was going around the church telling everybody's business. So they'll pass the mic and everybody had to do it like a confessional. I'm holding the mic and I'm like that. I'm actually holding a real mic. But they were doing a confessional and he was like, yes, and tell everybody how you're alcoholic. And yes, tell everybody that you no longer sleep with your wife. And if you are a wife and you're complaining to your husband, don't do that. Just shut up. I forgot to tell y'all that part because that's the part that had me scared the most. I'm like, never again. Never again. And that may seem impossible to get wrapped up in, but she had just experienced one of the most traumatic losses and series of losses in her life. And she told me how she found them and how they were there for her. Now she has to be there for them. It's like I found you. I created this version of you. Now you have to be here and participate in this. And not only participate, not only do you have to participate in this, but make sure you don't bring any infiltrators. And I was one that day. So that's why they was like, no, you have to be baptized. So you don't get the chance to tell anybody about this and you become a part of this and you become consumed with this evil ass energy. And that wasn't going to happen to me. Let me tell you. No. So that happened. And I had to make a few calls like somebody go check on this girl. Like, do y'all know she's in? And they was like, well, every time I check on her, she wants to go to church. So I'm like, so y'all been doing? Nobody told me. It's not funny, but it was very traumatizing and it's something I can laugh about now. But I'm telling this story, like I said, it's so much easier to get to that place when you don't have a support system and you just feel lonely in a crowd full of people that you already know. You go seeking. But how you know the difference between a community that probably has like an authority figure or a leader versus a cult that has like somebody that wants to be a dictator? For example, like even on my channel, I won't say this is the truth. This is the universal truth. This is the end all be all. But I'll say this is what I believe. You don't have to believe this, but this is how I feel. That's community. Having guidance and saying, you don't have to do this, but I'll give you advice if you're seeking advice. Only if you're seeking, and I'll be here for you, and you can be your own person. But a cult looks like, okay, you and all these other people, y'all are extensions of me. Y'all are here because of me. You cannot go outside of me. You have to grant permission. We have to know the difference because I see a lot of people on the internet that just say E5 is a cult because they see people wearing all white together or the Ilekes, the regalia, and they automatically assume people dressed alike is a cult. No, it's a tradition, it's a custom. Well, just like some churches have days where they wear all purple for the women or whatever. Those are traditions, those are customs. However, if you find yourself in a space where Once you stop doing these things, you're no longer accepted. They want to control who you are outside of a service, outside of a ritual, and they want to control how you show up in the world. That might be a cult. If you feel afraid to talk to somebody about the things that are happening to you within your community, that might be a cult. If you find yourself being pressured a lot, that might be a cult. I'm here to make this video because I don't think people realize how common cults are. And they're not always this super murderous, like sexually abusive thing. There's levels to it. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of Christian churches operate on cult like behavior. I try not to judge the religion, but how I grew up in the Bible Belt, so I watched a lot of people become controlled by their church life. Like, it's a church in my hometown that I deem it as a cult because the pastor's like, okay, you gotta marry this person. I'm gonna put you with this person. This who you should be with. Not like I think y'all would be good together, but if you don't marry this person, y'all can't come to my church. If you don't do this, it's weird. It's so weird, like I was saying. And I really just side eye people that recruit. They're heavy on recruiting. Like, I'll get a bunch of DMs and it'll be like, I love your energy. I love your aura. Come do naked yoga with me and my crew. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, no. Or join the Zoom call. I got one the other day. It was from someone that I thought was cool. And then I kind of peeped the energy of the people like she was talking about. And they all had that look in their eyes. If you know what I'm saying, that look where it looked like they 10 minutes from making somebody drink the Kool-Aid or drinking it themselves. I was like, they all had these crazy ass names. I try not to judge, but baby, sometimes you have to judge a book by its cover. Stay safe. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Period. And it's a lot of cult like behavior. Like, even like going to the park, Piedmont Park out here, those monks. They say they monks, but I have not seen yet. I'm not saying other people can't take a part of the tradition. I have not seen an Asian man yet. All I see are old white men saying they're the, I don't know what's the head monk name, whatever. They're like the leaders in, damn, what's the word? Whatever monks go to their temple, there it's white men that's the leaders, and I don't trust that because I have not seen a single person who that belief is belongs to them, like that's their indigenous belief. I have not seen one of those people. Yeah, I do see young black and brown boys selling books in the name of these white monks, and that looks to me that they've been preying on people who need help, who need food, who need guidance and mentors. And I just pray that ain't nothing crazy happening to them out there. But it gives me cult like energy. I'm not gonna lie. Forgive me if it's not. But my intuition and my discernment has not failed me. And don't let yours fail you. Stay highly alert out here. If you have any questions, if you need any recommendations to certain elders, certain books, if you even have questions for me, I'm here. I'm here because it gets tricky out here. It gets real tricky, especially when someone knows you're looking for something. But remember, the first thing you're looking for is yourself and your safety. I believe in you and I love you. Have a great day, week, month. Peace.